I'm Tanya. Standing in my hallway, I clutch a cup of tea as I watch my husband, Ethan, fumble with the old key in the lock. His mother, Doris, and his sister, Lily, stand behind him, surrounded by a mountain of luggage. The air is thick with tension as Ethan realizes the lock has been changed. "Mom, there's some guy in here," he stammers, his face pale with shock. I take a deep breath and step forward. "That's Jake. He just finished changing the locks. You can tip him on your way out, Ethan. All three of you." As I look at Ethan, memories flood back, and I'm transported to a time when this house was my haven, and my marriage was filled with hope. My grandmother, Martha Thompson, was a remarkable woman. In 1968, after 10 years of hard working as a factory worker, she saved enough money to buy this house with cash. She was so proud of that achievement. Every summer, when I visited her, we'd sit on the back porch sipping lemonade. The garden was a riot of colors, with tulips and peonies in full bloom. "Tanya," she'd say, tapping the porch railing with her knuckle, "nobody can take a thing from you that's in your own name." I was just 10 years old when I first heard those words, and they stuck with me. When I was 24, my grandmother passed away, and she left the house to me in her will, no strings attached. 6 weeks after her funeral, the deed was transferred into my name. I remember sitting in the attorney's office, my eyes red from crying, but also filled with a sense of purpose. This house was more than just a building, it was a legacy, a symbol of my grandmother's hard work and love. I spent the next 2 years pouring my heart and soul into restoring it. I refinished the floors, painted the walls, and planted a beautiful flower garden. 3 years ago, I met Ethan at a friend's barbecue. He was charming, funny, and had a way of making everyone around him feel special. We hit it off immediately, and after a year of dating, we got married in a small, intimate ceremony in the backyard of this very house. My father, a cautious man, gently suggested a prenuptial agreement before the wedding. But I waved the idea away, full of trust and optimism. "We trust each other, Dad," I said. He looked at me with a concerned expression but didn't press the issue. Ethan moved into the house with me, and for a while, everything was perfect. We spent evenings on the porch, talking about our dreams and plans for the future. Doris lived in a small town 2 hours away. She was a controlling woman, always trying to insert herself into our lives. I'd met her about a dozen times, at family gatherings and holidays. She had a habit of making every conversation about herself and would often touch things in my house as if she owned them. One Thanksgiving, we were at Doris's house. I was helping her in the kitchen while Ethan and Lily watched football in the living room. As she stirred the soup, she said, "That big house of yours must be a lot to handle on your own. All those rooms just sitting there empty." I set the spoon down carefully. "I manage," I replied. She continued, "Even with Ethan, it's a lot of space for 2 people. Lily and I could use some of that extra room." I didn't say much, but that night, lying in the guest room, I couldn't stop thinking about her words. The next day, on the drive home, I mentioned it to Ethan. "Your mom made a comment about the house having too much space," I said, trying to keep my voice light. He was quiet for a moment. "She's just lonely, Tanya. She doesn't mean anything by it." I let it go, but deep down, I knew something was off. 6 weeks later, I discovered the truth. My phone had died, and Ethan told me to use his to look up a number. When I picked up his phone, the screen was already unlocked, and I saw a message thread between Ethan and Doris. Doris had written, "Did you talk to her yet about moving in?" Ethan replied, "Not yet. I need to find the right time. She'll make a fuss, but she'll come around." Doris responded, "You know how to handle her, Ethan. She always backs down." I stood there, my hands shaking. I felt a shift inside me, a realization that my trust in Ethan had been misplaced. I didn't confront him right away. I needed to understand the full extent of their plan. Over the next few weeks, I started to prepare. I opened a new personal bank account and redirected my direct deposit there. I gathered all the important documents related to the house, including the deed, my grandmother's will, and receipts for all the renovations. I made digital copies and stored them in multiple places. I also called a locksmith, Jake, and scheduled him to change the locks on a Tuesday afternoon. I confided in my neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly woman who had known my grandmother. She promised to be a witness if needed. On Sunday morning, Ethan casually mentioned that Doris and Lily were coming for an extended visit. "How long is extended?" I asked. He shrugged. "They need a change of scenery. Lily lost her job, and Mom's been having some health issues." I pressed, "How long, Ethan?" He looked at me, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of shame in his eyes. "Indefinitely," he said. I didn't say anything else. I just got up and went to water the flowers on the windowsill. On Tuesday, at 1:45 p.m. Jake arrived. I made tea and watched him work. At 2:15, he handed me 2 new keys and left. At 3:20, I heard Ethan's car in the driveway. The sound of the car doors opening, the scrape of luggage on the driveway, and their voices filled the air. When Ethan finally pushed the door, he was met with the sight of the new lock. His face turned white, and he looked at me in disbelief. I stepped back, still holding my cup of tea. "Ethan, we need to talk. I know about your plan with your mother. This house is mine, and I won't let them move in." Ethan stood there, speechless. He opened his mouth to say something but couldn't find the words. "I've known about this for 3 weeks," I continued. "I've spoken to a lawyer, and I'm clear on my rights. Your mother and sister will not be moving in, not now, not ever." Ethan finally found his voice. "She's my mother, Tanya." I looked at him firmly. "I know she is, but she can't live here. If you can't accept that, then we have some serious decisions to make." I went upstairs and sat in my grandmother's chair, listening to the commotion outside. Ethan tried to explain the situation to Doris and Lily, but their voices grew louder and angrier. After a while, Ethan knocked on the door. I let him in, and he looked defeated. "Where am I supposed to tell them to go?" he asked. "There's a hotel on Elm Street. I checked, and they have availability." "I'll pay for 3 nights, I said. He stared at me. "How long have you been planning this?" 3 weeks, I replied. "Since the night I heard you tell your mother I was a pushover." He closed his eyes. "I didn't mean it like that." I looked at him, my voice calm but firm. "Don't tell me what you didn't mean. Tell me what you did mean. Why did you consult a lawyer without telling me?" He sat down on the stairs and put his head in his hands. "Mom came up with the idea months ago. She said Lily needed a fresh start, and she couldn't manage the stairs in her house. I thought I could convince you. I was wrong." We talked for hours that night. It was a difficult conversation, filled with pain and disappointment. I made it clear that his mother and sister were not welcome in the house. I also told him that his secret consultation with a lawyer was a betrayal. He called his mother that night and told her they couldn't move in. I could hear Doris crying on the other end of the phone. She accused him of abandoning her and being under my influence. But Ethan stood his ground. "Mom, this is about what's right. Tanya has every right to protect her home." In the following days, Doris and Lily stayed at the hotel. They left a few days later without saying goodbye to me. Ethan and I decided to go to couples therapy. It was hard work, but we started to understand each other better. Ethan learned to stand up to his mother, and I learned to be more assertive. Our marriage didn't end that autumn, but it changed. I lost the uncomplicated trust one once had, but in its place, I gained a deeper understanding of myself and my boundaries. The house on Maple Street remains mine, a symbol of my grandmother's legacy and my own strength. I still have the flowers on the windowsill and the beautiful garden in the backyard. And every now and then, I sit on the back porch, sipping tea, and think about my grandmother's words. Nobody can take a thing from you that's in your own name. I know what's mine, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect it.